Hi, this is Praios and I am a professional gambler. Today we will discuss 10 ways to make your poker career unsuccessful. This is original content from Galfond. I did not watch it yet, but we will watch it together in a second. But before that, I also thought about the topic briefly. I was only able to come up with 8 points that can hold you back in your poker journey. And yeah, I think it might even be ordered by the most important to the less important for me, because I think about the most important ones that come to mind most quickly first. Maybe. I mean, it's also different from person to person. Something might bother you and hold you back a lot, and others might not stop you at all. So yeah, but let me start with my list. First is bankroll management. Yeah. You can be the best player in the world, but if you don't have proper bankroll management, you will be fucked anyways. This is because, if you play stakes that are way too high for your bankroll, you will go bust. No matter what. I mean, you can't be so lucky. I mean, everyone starts low or with a small amount. When you start with whatever, $1,000 and risk it all, always in games, even if you have a huge edge, it can go wrong. It's still, I mean, in the short term, luck is king, and in the long term, skill is king. And if you don't have enough bankroll left to handle the swings, I mean, you can even lose against the worst player in the world in the short run, but in the long run, you should be end on top. But if you don't have proper bankroll, you can go broke. And when you have no core capital left, you cannot continue on your journey of becoming a successful, rich, good poker player. And you're probably also not a good poker player if you not handle your bankroll well. Next one is tilt. You should basically play like a robot, and the results of your play should not affect you at all. The only thing that matters is that the decision you made before seeing the actual result was the correct one. And if you tilt and can't play your A game anymore, this can obviously hurt you a lot financially. Third, I have bad game, table, and seat selection, meaning that you play against way tougher competition than you should. I mean, if you see a table full of racks, you definitely should not sit down. Do some theory work, find another table, play another game if you can play, for example, No Limit Hold'em and Pot Limit Omaha. It's just not worth it. You are here and in it for the money, at least I am. And if that's the case, don't play against tough competition. It's that easy. And as next point, I have bad fundamentals. Meaning that you probably don't know enough about outs and odds, or you don't have pre-flop dialed down, although it's quite easy to learn nowadays with the solver, for example. By the way, link in the description. Next one. So you should work on your theory constantly. And next one is being results orientated. So, for example, if you get it in with top pair against a flush draw, you are a favorite, but you lose 3 times in a row, and then you say, okay, I'm a huge idiot. I should not go all in these spots anymore. This is just not correct. You should not judge things after the result is clear. You should judge from the point of, okay, when I made the decision, when I did not know the result yet, was my decision correct or not? And if that's the case, you should not matter, even if you lost 10 pots in a row, if you think your decision at the point was correct and the best thing to do. Because in the long run, you should end up winning money if you constantly make good and right decisions. As my 6th point, I have not improving enough. Many poker players get to a certain level and then they just stop improving. They are like, okay, I beat my home game, or I beat my 1-2 game in the casino, and then they stop learning new things, stop analyzing hands, stop working with the solver. And yeah, you obviously will not get better anymore and improve further, but your competition might do. And at some point, you might even become a losing player by being lazy and not improving. Another big point is ego. It can happen very fast that you get cocky and think that you can beat everyone and that you are the best player in the world. And that could also lead to you playing way tougher opponents than you should. And this could also lead to, okay, I don't need that proper bankroll management anymore. I will win anyways. And ego, big thing. I mean, it happens so often, very often, that very good players or good players played other players that are just above their level and better. And they still played them heads up and lost like half their roll or a complete roll even. And this should not happen to you. There are also more things then coming into play, like tilt and bankroll management, obviously. Another thing that most people don't think about is that you should be in the right country to fully develop. For example, if you're living in Germany, the legislation is completely shit. You cannot play online, at least not properly, with table and seat selection. So if you want to be a professional poker player, leave Germany, for example. And other countries also have bad legislations. At best, you want in a country where you can play poker on all sides without legislation hindering you. Or in some countries, you even have to pay taxes on your gambling winnings. And I count poker as gambling winnings. And you should reallocate when you call yourself a professional poker player and you are making money, and stop paying taxes on your gambling when you don't have to. And there probably is another country where you have way better conditions. Okay, let's now see what Phil Galfond thinks about the topic.
Your poker career unsuccessful. These are all things that I think will hold you back in one way or another. I'm going to talk about why that is for each of them. Then at the end, I'm going to talk about
Galfond produces good content usually. And the thing is, I usually don't want to prepare or do huge videos with editing and stuff. It's just taking so much time. And if like only 100 people watch it, I just consider it not worth it. But Phil Galfond usually makes good content. I would watch it anyways, probably, and then I could just spend like double the time and speaking about it on stream as well. And let's see what Phil Galfond has to say. And by the way, I think the video before that, or the video before the one before that, was a video where I looked into live play from Jay Nandes. But Jay Nandes also used to make good videos, but I also visited his channel before and saw that he did not make a video for a month or something. So no content from him, which I could use in my videos to make my life more convenient.
Two of these that actually I've struggled with the most, and mistakes that I've made in my career. So without further ado, let's get to the list. First way to make your poker career unsuccessful is to get into poker for the money. I've known so many people that, especially during the height,
everyone is getting into poker for the money. I mean, why are you getting in there otherwise? I mean, it obviously helps a lot if you also enjoy it and you love figuring things out and learning how to play certain things. It's like always. I mean, I would say 90% of people simply hate their job and they still make it because they want to make money. And even if you don't like poker that much, it's still a way better job than most others. I mean, if you are competent enough to make money, I mean, I like it more when I can decide on my own when to play, can manage my time myself, don't have a boss, work from home, especially if you play online poker. So even if you don't like it that much, but if you're a good player, it can make sense to play poker.
Of the poker boom in the early 2000s, just knew somebody who was making a lot of money playing poker, and they said, "Oh, I'll give it a try too." And actually, you could at first, and even now today, without that kind of passion or love of the game, you can start to do well. But poker is such a challenging career. especially emotionally. You need so much resilience in the face of extended down.
Yeah, it's extremely important that you are very stable emotionally. I also talked about, I mean, this was my point, tilt basically. And yeah, downswings and handling them well is a huge point. And yeah, this is often, people often overlook this because yeah, these components can, even the best player in the world, if he cannot handle emotions well, he will not succeed. I think I said it like 1,000 times again in the past, but yeah, it's important to talk about this, and yeah, it's often overlooked, I feel.
Swings, games drying up, and having to potentially completely shift gears and kind of change your career path. People who got into it because they saw it as an easy way to make money, who didn't really love the game, almost all of them, or basically every single one I can think of, burnt out.
It also was an easy way at first. And it can also be this way. I mean, in the beginning, I loved the game and I really enjoyed playing. But at some point, it just became work and I didn't enjoy it as much anymore, or not at all. I mean, that's just how it goes if you do something again and again and again every single day.
And didn't make it. Number 2, build the foundation of your game by memorizing strategies. Especially today in 2022 and soon to be 2023, solvers can tell you how to play any given spot. And these are extremely powerful tools, and they've advanced the game a huge amount. But the way to learn from them is not simply to memorize strategies. If you're playing
yeah, definitely not memorize strategies only or try to remember every single spot, but try to understand what the reason is behind, so that you can, if a new spot comes up that's a little bit different, but you can still make good decisions. And yeah, I think that might be what he's talking about. So yeah, get the reasons behind it and not just try to learn things by heart. And often I also think that's also another point. People just do what the solver suggests always, basically. And if they look for a solution for a certain spot, they pull up the solver and look, okay, I should do this, and then this is the answer. But that's simply not correct. If someone is on tilt or someone plays way off the optimal playing strategy, you obviously have to adjust. And the solver will not give you the correct answer because the solver assumes an opponent who's also playing optimally. And most humans don't, and some play like a style that's just like so bad that yeah, the solver will not give you any accurate results or help.
Turbo sit and goes where you're mostly like 10 big blind stack, then sure, just try to memorize push fold ranges pre-flop and open ranges because there's not much play after then. But there are so many ways in which a hand can play out and so many ways in which a board can run out that it's impossible for any human that I've ever met to memorize enough of a strategy to execute it competently. What'll happen is if you're just trying to memorize a solver strategy, you're going to play very well pre-flop, you're going to play reasonably well on the flop, and then it's all going to fall apart on the turn and river. When you're studying with these tools, you have to try to figure out what the solver is thinking. And thinking should be in air quotes, actually, because it doesn't think. The solver, the way that it learns how to play is actually brute forces and figures out what's the highest EV strategy. It doesn't really understand why. It doesn't understand pot odds. But you have to kind of apply a human thought process to the outputs that you're seeing, because that way you can reference that thought process in game, and it can kind of shape your human thought process, which has the ability to adapt to a number of situations without memorization. Whereas, if you were to plug in a bot,
yeah, very good advice,
based on solver outputs, it can.
This is actually for very advanced people already, because I think many people who play poker, especially the ones that play live, probably had never had contact to solvers. And also, I think many people study pre-flop mainly and just go over the post-flop stuff entirely. And that's also obviously not smart. But it's way easier to learn pre-flop from solver. And obviously also, there's also the point, don't apply it against any opponent. If someone 3-bets way more than the solver suggests, you obviously have to use other ranges against him than against the guy who's doing GTO or in live setups. People often only 3-bet or especially 4-bet with aces. So apply strategies that work against this range and don't work with the solver if you basically know he has aces now, and then you have to play differently.
Handle every situation because it's actually memorized how to play every situation. It solved them and then it references that, but it doesn't think through hands in the same way that a human can. In other words, you're a human, I think. Try to learn and play like a human. Don't try to learn and play like a bot. Number 3, base your confidence on recent results.
But you should handle your emotions like a bot. That's good advice, or as close as possible to a robot.
This is a common one we all probably have suffered from at some point in our career a little bit. It's very easy to fall into the trap.
Yeah, that's what I said and meant by being results orientated.
Of, oh, I've won several sessions in a row. I'm a god. I'm playing great. I have a huge edge in this game. And then on the flip side, you lose for a month straight and you're like, I don't think I can win anymore. I need to start changing up my strategy. I need to try.
Yeah, I also have the same thing in other parts of my life. I mean, that's a bit off topic, but for example, if I go bouldering and if I in one session send like 3 very hard boulders. Bouldering is climbing without a rope, by the way. And yeah, then I'm like, I am the king. I'm so good. I can send everything. And like next session, you get completely destroyed. Don't send any of the new routes. And then you are like, oh my God, I'm so bad. And yeah, the same happens in poker also again and again.
A whole bunch of new things. Essentially, don't be results oriented. We all know as poker players that a huge part of our day-to-day results are going to be based on variance, on luck. Yes, over the course of a year.
Yeah, focus about the long term and not short term swings.
2 years, 3 years, kind of skill is going to overpower the luck. The long run will get there, and your true results or your true expected value will start to show. Your results will regress to the mean, in other words. But in the short term, it's just going to be all over the place. That's how it is. And if you
just focus on making good decisions and don't focus on the results at all. And this is also only possible if you have good bankroll management, obviously, because if you have to worry of getting broke, then this is not working properly.
That affect you too much, it's going to throw you off track all the time. Number 4, only learn by yourself. The fastest way to learn in poker and probably in almost anything is to collaborate with other people. I remember I'm
not sure about this one because I basically only learn by myself. And I think it's also like, what is it like? Game theory wise, it's often bad to learn with others because then you often rely on the other person and don't do as much as you would if you would learn yourself. And everyone is thinking like this. And in the end, basically nobody puts in the analyzers and the hours they should because they all rely on the other guy in the group, in the studying group or whatever. And then you would be better off when you just do it on your own. And in today's poker environment, you can also do a lot of stuff on your own because you can just put in stuff in solvers and learn a lot this way. And yeah, but what you said before, rule of thumb is what you need and not just try to remember all the things. To make up rule of thumbs for yourself that you can say, okay, in this spot and similar spots, I have to do this and that, and yeah, and so on.
First summer in Las Vegas. So I had played semi-professionally online for probably 2 years. I was participating in forums and learning that way. I was reading books. When I came to Vegas during the summer,
I think I never read a good poker book in my life, and I think there are probably none out there. But I also didn't read that many, but I also heard from other people that most of them are outdated or bad. And yeah, basically the guys writing the books are usually not the greatest player. So it's unlikely that the book is great.
I stayed in a house with 5 other guys. It was the first time I ever watched somebody play poker. And when you watch somebody else play, or you even see hands from other people, you get to say, oh, why did you do that? Like, I never even thought to make a play like that. Not only being able to kind of be exposed to different ways to play, different lines of thinking. But then having that feedback to work together, it just accelerates growth so much. However, you can get into a study group or make poker friends.
I think that's also dependent on your person. I said that I'm not convinced that you need others, but especially in the beginning, it's probably very helpful if you are a group of people. But yeah, but at some point, the others can even hold you back. I mean, if you did more, maybe outside the group and stuff, and you are just above the level of everyone else, then it just didn't help you anymore to participate in the group. But the other great thing about teaching stuff to others is, if you are the coach, you sometimes or often learn more or get these things better in your head than you would otherwise, because while you are coaching, you also learn a lot of things yourself and remember it better and stuff. So it has definitely benefits. But it's also, I think it's also, for me, it's hard to find someone else to do this stuff with, because I don't know why, but I basically lost contact to all my poker playing friends from the past. I think most of them are also just quit. So like me, like I did, basically. And often people are also very secretive and like, now I don't give away any of my secrets. And that's also why. I mean, it's also not that important anymore, as you have the solvers. Basically, the game is solved and you don't need to learn the secrets from anyone else because it's all out there. I mean, it might be a bit different for live poker. You could maybe learn the secret live tell read from someone or something, but otherwise I don't see this being that important. But I think it's probably also a personality type. I can do things and figure things out on my own very well, but some other people learn way better when they are in a group or a team. So I guess that's actually it.
I highly encourage you to do it. Or if you want to be unsuccessful, I highly encourage you not to. Number 5, know that if you won the pot, you played it right. This is another version of being results oriented, but
that's like the same point you already had.
Essentially, so many players will review hands that they've lost after a session. They'll look at them with a critical eye because
I think we probably will say that later, but not only look at your hands you lost, but also the ones you won, because sometimes the bigger leaks can be found in these hands.
Really, it's an emotional thing. You think, oh, I lost this hand. It was
another thing also. Many people only review the biggest pots they played, but they might make more expensive mistakes in the small pots. Like maybe whatever, defending the big blind not often enough, or playing bad in the small blind where they get involved in hands they should not. And this does not become obvious that easily if you don't review the small spots, or if you just start at the flop or the turn always and don't question the decisions you made before that.
I lost a lot of money this hand. I feel bad about it. I want to go check to see if I played it right. And if I feel like I played it right based on a solver or based on something else, then I'll feel better about it. But when you won a hand, you don't.
Yeah, I think I had a lot of motivation always when I was streaming my studying sessions. And I think many of them are still online. And I think other people probably can also learn from that. But that's can also be a tool to motivate you. And you might even get in contact to other people who are on the same learning path. I mean, I get to learn at least one guy, which I also think is a good poker player. And I still speak to him sometimes about, after I made the streams.
You don't need that kind of emotional Band-Aid. So you just kind of let it go. And you think, well, I won the hand. So you can learn a lot from the hands that you won. As well as the hands you lost. You can make a lot of mistakes in hands that you've won.
Yeah, if also often are like, okay, with this hand, I exactly know what to do, but I'm not sure what to do if I had, instead of whatever, top 2, I just have top pair. And yeah, then I analyze the same spot, but with slightly different hole cards. And this often can also help you to make decisions. Or if you say, okay, my hand, it's completely clear what to do, but after you see your opponent's hole cards, for example, then you are like, okay, why did he do that? Is his play actually correct? When analyze the hand from the standpoint of your opponent. Stuff like that also might help you.
And so ignoring them is really ignoring, half of your data. 6th way to make sure your poker career is unsuccessful: quit early.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not allowed to share these subscriptions, but everyone does it, also for like Netflix and stuff. And yeah, I think JNN is probably also better off when 2 people share it or 3 people, because otherwise it might be too expensive and nobody got it in the first place. So in this case, definitely they are all sides are better off. Although probably JNN wouldn't like to hear something like that.
When you're winning, and when you're losing, play as long as you can to try to get unstuck. This is one that most people suffer from.
That's also, I would say, that's also some sort of tilt.
I actually personally never had the issue of wanting to quit to book a win. I like to play a really long time, win or lose.
I often like, if you play a lot, many tables and try to be focused all the time, I often get like very exhausted after like 3 or 4 hours and I have to stop. And I usually do, even if the result is bad. I just play very long sessions if I think the tables are very good, even if I'm knowing that I'm on B game only. But if good spots don't come up that often, and then you just can't quit if you have the mega whale on your table. But that's the only time I extend my sessions, and not because I'm stuck. Oh, it's allowed for 2 players. Oh, that's sick. Didn't knew about that.
Simple terms, when you're winning, your mood is...
it also doesn't matter. I don't blame you for it. And yeah, I also shared various subscriptions in my life.
Better. You're experiencing less fear and nervousness while you're playing, and essentially you're going to play better when you're winning. When you're losing, you're going to have some kind of tilt, whether it's a desire to gamble more to get unstuck, a fear of making a big bluff and losing another buy-in, a number of things like that. So by playing longer sessions when you're losing, you're actually putting in more hands on your C and D game and fewer hands. By quitting when you're winning, you're putting in fewer hands when you're on your A game.
By the way, I think there's also some sort of winning tilt, because at some point people then think, I think there's probably 2 components. One is that people feel like they play with house money. If they are up like tons and tons of money, they make a call that probably is not the best call, but they are like, okay, I'm up that much anyways, and I have this feeling that he might be bluffing, where in reality he's not bluffing enough. So, and you also think that you are like unbeatable and get into spots where you should not be in, because you think, okay, I outplayed this guy 3 times already, I will outplay him again. So there's also like where you get overconfident. And yeah, I think that's also a thing, but nobody is mentioning it ever. So if you are winning very big or being on a lifetime upswing, you might do stupid thing as well. But I would also, name tilt.
So do the opposite of that. And because you're not going to want to emotionally, it's important to kind of set stop losses ahead of time that you kind of promise yourself you're going to...
I never set myself stop losses, by the way. But I think I am very detached emotionally and I can handle even huge swings. But I think for other people, it's a great tool. I think there are even apps for Holdem Manager or some sort of apps that will stop you from continuing to play when you lost a certain amount. And for some people, this makes sense. I mean, it does not necessarily have to be lose 10 stakes, but it has to be maybe bound to an amount because, maybe people don't, some people don't think in terms of I lost 10 stacks, but they think I lost so much money, it's a car or whatever, and then it's probably time to quit.
Stick to. That way you don't have to make that decision in game when your mental state is compromised. Number 7, realize that when you see somebody else make a mistake, you're better than them. This is huge.
What?
For several reasons. When people see other players make mistakes, it makes them overconfident, both against that individual player and in general. The fact of the matter is, if you go through a session you played, like if you and I were sitting next to each other and we were going through every hand that you played, there would be so many hands where before I comment on it, you would say, oh, I messed that one up because this, or oh, that was just a brain fart. I don't know what happened. Or I made a mistake there, but I know exactly what to do now. I normally know what to do there. So like, I get it. And those things are often true. Like we make mistakes. Like sometimes we just fail to think about what we should have thought about. Sometimes we didn't have enough time to figure it out in the moment and we acted. And afterwards we're like, oh, that was a mistake. I know better than that. So we give ourselves the benefit of the doubt. We accept those excuses in ourselves. But when we see somebody else make a bad play, we don't think, oh, they probably know what to do, but this time they messed up because they didn't have enough time to decide. Or, oh, they probably had a brain fart there and just, made a mistake, whatever. They're a better player than that. We see a mistake and we think, oh, they think that's a good play. We're better than them. And if
another thing is also we don't know their reasoning. Maybe they had a perfect reasoning, but we just don't get it in the moment. Maybe he was bluffing someone where you think this was like a terrible bluff, but maybe he knew that his range is constructed in a way in this spot that the bluff would work almost always, and you just don't have the information available that this guy had. So this is also another thing to consider. And I think also a thing is, you remember, if you play someone for the first time and you see a terrible play, you will be, okay, this guy is so bad, I need to play him always. But maybe he was just on lifetime tilt or had some good reasoning for his play. Maybe he picked up a towel on the other guy and that's why he pulled the terrible non-GTO bluff or something. And you will just remember this all the time and play accordingly. But this might be outdated, or you just don't got his reasoning for it and treat him as a huge fish, while in reality he's not. I mean, I remember back in the day there was a what was the site called? Card Runners or something, where one pro on purpose played a hand in the beginning of the session ridiculously bad. No, I mean, it wasn't even ridiculously bad, but people could draw this conclusion. And he then capitalized on this mistake or minus EV play for the rest of the session because, people treated him differently than they should. So, you also should keep your image in mind when you do things. And if you did a lot of plays that other people's might see as bad, then you should play accordingly, because other people obviously should adjust to the things you did.
you do this, in addition to not giving players enough credit.
Also, my favorite trick, I used to go to a casino where nobody knew me, and I put in like a starting hand shot besides me, and I was like, I don't know. I played poker for like the first time, and I need to remember that the flush beats straight into things, and this also helps to give people a very wrong impression of you if they don't know you. I mean, it's deceiving and a bit lame, but it worked out well. I mean, people might got a clue when there was a pot where the dealer wanted to give the money to someone else, but the two pair of the one guy were counterfeit, and I was like, no, stop. This guy won the pot, actually. This was so funny. I was the only one at the 10-handed game realizing it, but the huge fish would have lost his stack anyway, otherwise. So I was like, no, he won, because I didn't want him to quit.
You're just going to put yourself in games that are potentially too tough for you. Like, you're going to see an edge in games that you have no edge in, potentially, because you are going to see.
And the guy also bought me a drink later for saving him a few $100 or whatever it was.
Great players make mistakes all the time. We all do it. 8th way to ensure an unsuccessful poker career is to move up when you lose to chase those losses.
Yeah, okay, that's like the biggest crime against bankroll management, when you move up in stakes to chase losses. This is like, I think no professional poker player should ever do this. And often this is also coming together with no table and game selection at all. People are just wanting to chase and don't give a fuck if they play against tough competition. And this is like really, really bad and an absolute no-go.
We all know that we shouldn't do this, yet a lot of people still do it. It's very comforting emotionally to book more wins than losses. And so this shows itself in number 6, where people are often quitting when they're winning and chasing losses when they're losing.
Yeah, this is called loss aversion. And basically every human is, has loss aversion. So it feels way more painful when you lose $100 than you gain pleasure by winning $100. And yeah, that's the underlying thing why you chase losses when you are down, and might even be inclined to quit early when you are up, because you fear that you might get down and you remember this feeling from earlier. And yeah.
And here number 8.
I mean, it obviously should not make a difference if you continue the session the next day or in the next week or whatever, when you are in a good state of mind mentally. I mean, it obviously is better than continuing tilt.
8, where once they lose, they move up, because it gives you a better chance of having a winning day. It's essentially, there's a concept in gambling, or kind of a strategy in gambling, called the martingale strategy. The way it works is, let's say you're playing roulette, you're putting your money on black. You start by betting $5. And then if you win, you walk away, you won $5. If you lose, you bet $10. And then if you win that one, you walk away, you won $5. But if you lose that one, then you bet 20. Now, if you win that one, you walk away and you won $5. But if you lose, then you bet 40. And so on and so forth.
Yeah, people often think that this is like the greatest strategy ever, and they should apply it. And with infinite money, you should always make a profit. But the thing is that people don't consider is, there are limits what you can bet in the casino, because at some point when you double, you will not be able to place a bet anymore, because the limit might be 1,000 on red or something. The next thing is, if you win a tiny amount. And if you lose like your whole bankroll, basically. And this is just like, you still have the disadvantage of the roulette or whatever game you are playing. But yeah, you will win almost always, but if you lose all your money. So that's just, yeah. It's just like a lottery, but the other way around. You can win small, but at some point you will lose very big, and the house edge is still there.
Until you reach the maximum amount of money you're willing to bet. A lot of people think that because you're almost always going to walk away a winner, that's a winning strategy. But the fact of the matter is, each individual bet on roulette is a losing bet, and compounding them with a betting strategy doesn't actually turn them into winning bets. What's actually going to happen is, depending on your bankroll.
Yeah, I mean, it is also stupid. The people who write down the numbers that came, and then they try to find a pattern or whatever. I don't know what they are doing. So like, if it's 5 times red in a row, they are like, okay, now black has to come. But they don't realize these are independent events. The wheel doesn't remember if 3 times or 10 times black came already. And it's still 50-50. I mean, it's not 50-50 because the green 0 can always come, but you get the point. The what happened in the past has no influence on further probabilities.
You're allowing for the martingale strategy. Maybe 98% of the time you're going to walk away a winner, but that 2% of the time you're going to lose all the money you have. And every time you win, you only win $5. Incidentally, I've seen a friend almost lose a ton of money doing that. He finally got it on like the $80,000 bet. So that's what people do. They apply it to poker as well.
You also have to have balls of steel. I mean, when it comes to these huge bet sizes, you have to follow through. And you also have to accept the consequences when the $80,000 bet or the $160,000 bet or whatever the maximum amount is you can lose, that you will be busto, man. So, yeah, just not a good strategy. But it might feel good in terms of loss aversion because you basically always win small and never lose. But if you lose, you're just completely annihilated.
Chase losses so that they can have a winning day. Poker's not about how many winning days you have, it's how much you won at the end of the year. So definitely don't do this. And not to mention the fact that when you're losing, you're playing worse. Now you move up to play bigger stakes. First of all, maybe you shouldn't be playing those stakes, even your best state. But second of all, now you're not in your best state and you're moving up to higher stakes, risking more money. It's the exact wrong time to do it. Number 9, trust.
By the way, in the casino, often the best strategy is when you make sure that you lose very often and only win in a very small percentage of sessions, because you will get extra benefits from the casino. And yeah, I'm talking about something like you get cash back. So you get like 10% of your losses back. And if you win, you can keep them all. So you should make sure that you play a strategy where you lose almost always. And if you win, just take home a huge amount. So like lottery like payouts. So for example, go to the roulette wheel, place a bet on a single number, the highest amount you can, whatever, $1,000. And if you don't hit, walk away. And you will lose very often. You will lose 36 out of 37 times, because there are 37 numbers on the wheel. So you will lose 36 times, but will get $100 back in these cases. And the one time you win, you will get 36,000 at once. But you will end up after, I mean, if it's like the statistic probabilities perfectly work out, you will be having bet. You lost 36,000, but you got back 3,600 because of the cashback, the 10%. And then in the last session, you won 36,000. So in the end, you are up, what is it? I think you are up the cashback or something. Or a bit less than the cashback. You are up. I think you are up almost exactly the cashback, something like that. So you're up like 3K in EV when you do the strategy 37 times. I mean, I can't do the exact math out of my head. Not good in calculating stuff, but okay in math.
Trust every charming person you meet. This was something I learned over the years, coming from the online background. So like all my early years in poker were online, and transitioning into live poker. And it's something that a lot of my friends that have done the same thing have come up against. Essentially, in poker, like in all walks of life, there are untrustworthy people. And because poker is a game of money, there are people who are looking to take advantage of other people.
So trusting all the charming people that you meet is a bad strategy. I agree, because often the charming people are the most evil ones. They are this charming because they want something from you. And yeah.
Usually those who are successful at that, they're successful because they're charming. They seem really nice. They seem great.
Although I actually don't have that many bad experiences. I also, in the beginning, I had contact to a lot of poker players. My Skype list is like incredible big. I mean, I don't talk to anyone anymore, basically, but at times, like 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I had many people which I talked to regularly, and also shared like results and stuff. And I almost had no negative experiences. Basically, yeah, the things went well almost always. I mean, you can also get cheated in ways you don't, you just don't recognize, obviously, but yeah. I think it might also have happened to me, but yeah, I just don't know. I mean, if you, for example, take a piece in someone's action and he's playing like, whatever, 10K, no limit hold'em, you have 50% of the guy. He could just lose to his other friend on the table. And in reality, this game where money wasn't lost, but he can charge back 50% from me. So that's how you can cheat. Yeah, it might have happened to me, but overall I was up doing this swapping money stuff. So yeah. And yeah, but I think this was also a complete other time. Online poker was in the beginning, and a lot of people, young people, came up, good guys, made a lot of money, and yeah, we were honest. But yeah, obviously, where a lot of money is to be made, many crooks will also come up and try to get the money from you.
Really easy to talk to, get along with, and they seem trustworthy. I think a lot of people like to believe that they have a good kind of internal compass for, when a person's a good person. But the fact of the matter is, people who are kind of like career scammers, that they succeed because they're really good at fooling people. And really, if you're looking at people who are going to a lot of career scammers, probably going to be, probably going to be a psychopath. And those people are almost always charming. So I'm not saying that you should trust charming people less than people who are not charming, although maybe slightly. But essentially just protect yourself in all scenarios in poker. It's very...
Yeah, the thing also is, this happened to me once. I gave money to someone and he didn't intend it to scam me in the first place, but he just had like a huge tilt session or something and he just lost all the money and he couldn't pay me back. And that's also like unintended scams can also happen. So always remember, if you give money to someone and the only good thing that could happen is that you get it back, then it's most of the time a bad deal, because stuff like that, something completely unexpected might happen and you might be getting fucked very hard because the guy can just not pay you back, although he had good intention in the first place.
Easy to be influenced by people who are great at influencing you and loan people money or stake them or whatever the case may be. If they're not somebody you've known a long time and have good reason to trust, be very careful. And number 10, final way to ensure...
I think also staking is also often a losing proposition because especially if it's like the standard deal, we share winnings 50-50, losses are only on me. And then the thing is, once people are in the hole a lot, they have a lot of bad incentives because they basically play with house money. They can just try to get even, and then to a point where they can also make money, or they can just lose it all and then be done with the staking. And that's obviously bad because people will not be sticking to bankroll management. People might do risky stuff just to get even. And yeah, it's just not good if the incentive structure is in a way that, yeah, people participate when they are up, but nothing happens when they are down. And even if the people didn't intend to do these bad things for the baker, they might do it subconsciously at least. So yeah, staking, I had this experience with a lot of, I think I did not many stakings in my life, but I had it one time where I definitely was like, okay, once the guy was down and was playing with house money, basically, he did a lot of stuff that was not agreed upon, like not sticking to bankroll management. And basically, he lost the complete role I gave him. And it was basically on him, but nothing I could do about it. I mean, should I sue the guy? Obviously not. I mean, he probably does not even have the money to pay me back. So I was just fucked. And yeah, keep these things in mind and structure the incentives in a way that you can be sure that, yeah, in case something goes downhill, that the incentives are not in a way that you can probably say goodbye to the rest of your money as well.
That you have an unsuccessful poker career, after playing and studying enough, reach the point where you've got it all figured out. I have seen people do this.
Yeah, I also talked about that. Yeah, I have it all figured out. I don't need to study anymore at all. And yeah, this is also like, yeah, people often reach a good level, but the competition is catching up. And yeah, you should not, stop improving at any point. I mean, it's everywhere in life. You should continue to improve and learn new things all the time. And that's also what I do. I read a lot of books, even books that are contrary to my opinion. I intentionally buy these books like, okay, maybe I'm wrong and this guy can convince me otherwise. I bought a book. I'm a huge fan of passive investing, but for example, I bought a book that was recommended from someone I respect, and this is an active investing book, and I will read it, and maybe he has some good points, and I will change my opinion a bit in the other direction if it's convincing. But yeah, don't only be in your filter bubble as well, is what I'm saying.
They've been winning for a while, and they just stop trying to learn. They especially stop trying to learn from other people. As I talked about earlier, learning with other people is, I think, the kind of biggest hack to growth. But some people reach the point where they're really successful.
I think that's actually true for a lot of other areas, but not necessarily in poker, as already mentioned before.
And they've learned so much with other,
especially with the solvers, where you can figure out most things on your own. And this solvers are actually, a curse for people who were able to figure out things very well. I mean, I think I was one of the guys. I did a lot of work away from the tables, and you had to put in good assumptions to get to good results, and also be savvy in math to figure these spots out and be ahead of the competition. And now this is completely gone with the solvers. There are random people who don't know anything at all can get equally as good results because they just ask the solver and put it in and don't have to do thinking on their own. I mean, they might play suboptimal against the fishes still because they just use the GTO solutions because they don't know how to figure it out in another way. But against me, they will still play very good. And yeah, it's definitely giving me a disadvantage compared to the times when there was no GTO solver yet. And yeah, people had to do the math on their own. And yeah, many struggled or don't get it worked out.
People, and then by themselves, they think they're better than everybody else, and they no longer want to learn with people. You never have it all figured out. You could always improve from where you are right now. Even the best player in the world could improve a lot.
It also can help your game if you train someone who's way below your limit. But yeah, you will also remember concepts that you might not have figured down that well anymore and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely very helpful. Even if you just teach other people to play well.
If you love the game and you don't think you've got it all figured out, then that passion and curiosity is going to help you continue to get better and better over the years. All right, so now let's talk about the two that I have suffered from in my poker career. Before I do, you may know from one of my last videos that I've started this challenge with myself. Half of that challenge is a fitness bet. The other half is growing my following on social media, creating more content like this that hopefully you guys enjoy. So for the first time yet on my YouTube channel, I'm going to ask you to subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it. If you didn't, please tell me it sucked. But without further ado, let's get into the two that I suffered from. So first is the only learn by yourself. Like I said, I had periods where I learned with other people, but for the first couple of years, I learned by myself. There was then a period where a lot of my poker friends got out of poker. and I was kind of left with no poker friends, and I didn't make.
It also many of the poker friends just got broke. I mean, of the people I know about, they just didn't improve enough, or the competition became too tough for them, and they just lost the money back. And they didn't realize quickly enough, and in the end, they were like they never had played poker, and that is very bad if this happens to you, because you will have a huge hole in your resume. And if you will go to a normal employee and ask, yeah, I need a job, and they say, okay, what did you do for the last 5 years? And you say, I played poker online. They will probably look at you like, we'll call you, don't contact us. We will call you back. Happy to meet you. And yeah, good interview, sir.
New poker friends for several years. This happened around the time that I was launching Run It Once Poker and focusing more on the business. I kind of lost touch with people to collaborate with on poker.
Yeah, I also basically lost touch, but it's also not that important, because I can't play anymore, or can't play on the sites I would like to play, because sites like PokerStars just banned me because I was winning in their fucking casino. I also don't get why I'm not allowed to play poker anymore. Email PokerStars if you want to make up for this unjust, and tell them to unban me. I'm just joking.
There were kind of 2 periods in my career where there were essentially lulls in my growth because I was learning by myself. The other one was number 9, trust every charming person you meet. I'm not ashamed to admit that I have given out some bad loans, invested in some players that I shouldn't have. And
yeah, same here. But yeah, I mean, you have to take some risk, and some will turn out to be bad apples. But if you make good decisions overall, you should end up making money.
And then have gotten taken advantage of. It's been a while. I think I've learned my lesson after the first couple times, but it's something that I've suffered from, and a lot of my friends have as well. So I hope you found these helpful. If any of these resonated with you and there's something you need to change, go ahead and change them. And I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah. Going to lose. Maybe I should watch this too. But yeah, for now, this is the end of today's session. I hope you enjoyed it. If you watch it on YouTube, like, subscribe, share. On Twitch, you can also follow. And yeah, also consider to give my other channel, Finance with Axel, a try. It's about crypto, investing, money. And yeah, I think you will like it too. And at least I hope so. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate and like that you enjoyed the stream. Yeah, until next time, good luck at the tables. Bye-bye.